This is a fun little animation. I've been through this already, so I know that I want to stop at frame 850. Because the rest of it is just doesn't example what I want to do, and part of it is a little silly, which is fine, but I don't understand it. Let's go check that out. Right, that makes sense, but this part I don't get. What's that? No dance there. Alright, so I know that the ball settles at frame 850, and that's pretty much the end of our example. What I'm going to do is map this so I can bring it to Second Life. I'm going to create an animated bone that will be driven by the motion of the ball. The ball is object animated, there's no bone, so that needs to be reversed and then reversed yet again in order to animate the ball in Second Life. So what I'll do first is create the structure for it, but I want to remove the object animation because it's slowing things down a lot here. You can see this here happening. We don't need the object animation of this armature. We do need this one, but the armature itself, we can remove that object animation, and now this line will go away if the pelvis bones are not selected, and then the resource is taken up by trying to display these keys will no longer be taken, and this will be clean motion and remove object animation. Now this should run at a better speed. Alright, now I'm going to place a bone inside the ball object. I'll get that from the armature here itself. I can use anything. I'll just grab the first one I see, Control Shift D for duplicate. Alright, you can see it's parented. We don't want that, that will ruin the day, so get rid of that. Oh, what was that? What did I do? I'm going to undo that, Control Z. It will not let me Control Z. Hang the boat on. Did I? I'm going to load this file again. What did I do? That's right. I'm going to load it again. I haven't really done anything significant. I'm going to clean the animation from that. Object. Get a bone. Shift D. Get rid of the parent of that bone. Hang on, that's the problem. I wasn't on the bone. And I want to bring that bone down to the ball. It's not absolutely necessary to have it exactly in any particular spot, but visually it just makes sense. I'm going to snap it using vertex to a vertex, and then I'm going to move the tail up significantly so we can see it, what's happening, and it'll be easier to manipulate if necessary. Alright, that's that. Now we'll go into pose mode. I want to change the name of this bone to something that makes sense. So, ball bone. And I will also add a vertex group to this ball with the same name. and I want to assign all the vertices to that group. So go into edit mode, and by default they are all selected, but let me show you what to do if they are not. And if you are in shaded mode, the back facing will not get selected. So make sure you're in this wireframe or see-through or whatever they're calling it, and you're all set. And you can do assign. Now I'll add a constraint to this bone to force it to follow this object and also to follow the vertex groups. Now I don't think it's necessary for it to follow the vertex groups, but we still will need these vertex groups later on when the bone reverses its role and controls the animation of the ball, or the vertices as it were. So post mode, and I will add a child of constraint. I'll choose the ball, the vertex groups, and set inverse. Now the ball will animate the ball. The ball will animate the bone. Now another thing, very important thing we have to be aware of, is the pelvis bone here is partially responsible for animating the entire set of bones, or whatever bone they named as root. I'm going to get rid of some stray bones I see floating around. I seriously doubt they're being used. I think I did this before. And I'm going to save my set just in case I'm wrong about this. Alright, I'm in pose mode. That's why here. This looks like it might be a different armature. I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so we have the motion we're looking for. The concern I have is that the pelvic bone is partially responsible for the object animation. And while that's a normal thing, for us to get this one bone to do what we want it to do, we have to be in control of this pelvic bone ourselves. And we're going to make sure that that pelvic bone does not move at all, and that all the other bones do. We can easily do that with Bento Buddy, the mapping tools, and retargeting. I'll show how to do that in just a moment. I was going to do a thing, and I forget what it was. Oh, see through. Here. Okay. There's another bone on this. I know that because I looked at this before. Right. Okay. I wasn't aware that this was actually doing anything. I guess it's required. It's controlling the mesh, but it's in an odd spot, as you can see. This one here is the pelvis moving the entire thing, and this one's just below it. Not totally unusual. It's just it might be confusing. So make sure that when you're looking for a pelvis bone in a rig, you're not picking the very lowest one, although it might make sense. In this case, obviously it doesn't make sense. This is the controller. This is the root. Alright, let's go map this, and then we'll retarget. The mapping will have to be done a little bit differently, because we're not going to map the pelvis bone to that. We're going to create a separate... Am I going to create a separate pelvis bone? I think I might create a separate pelvis bone to keep it stable. I forget. While I'm in the mapper, I'll remember what I'm doing, I think. And this indicates how far away the skeleton will be generated from the item. In this particular case, we can get pretty close, I think. So reset the stage and do it again, and it's a little too close. For convenience, I'm going to move some of these items down closer to the avatar. And we don't want them to move every time we map a bone. And that's exactly what is going to happen. Hide the mesh here. And let me show you that right now. If I say map these bones, all these will snap to where they belong. But we can prevent that. I'll take care of that in a minute. We can prevent that by hang on, clear the maps. We can prevent this by snapping back, by enabling this button release. So now I can map this bone and it doesn't snap everything else back. But let's go fix this this goof. This is almost always caused by an additional control object that is not the armature. So I'll reset the stage, and I'm going to save my work here just in case I goof something up. And show the mesh and go to object properties. So the armature is parented to something they're calling a root object, baby root, and this object is causing an undesirable transform in the armature. And I saved it because if I remove this, something weird might happen. Let's find out. So yeah, that's not what we want. So we can do this a little differently. Instead of removing the object manually, we could have Blender do it. And it's not actually removing the object, it's deparenting the existing object from that, so this will no longer be a child of it. So clear the parent and keep the transform so that our stuff doesn't move around. And this could damage things, so let's make sure everything's working. So it looks fine. I don't see any glitches, stretching, or any kind of weirdness. I think we're good. We'll go back to mapping. And I'll hide the mesh. Now remember, I wanted to bring these arms down. Do our mapping there. I'll run down the arms, then we'll do the fingers. Make sure release is on. Map these bones. we use the fill tool here to quickly map the fingers, and I can see that there are 3 joints, and that's consistent across the board. 1, 2, 3. Same thing with second life bones. So hit the first one. It doesn't map forward, it maps backwards. Tell the chain that there are 3 and say fill. After this, I'm going to save my map in case Blender crashes. I'll just do that here. Save the map. And for now, I'll just call it temp, because I can just click on this without doing anything with the keyboard. I've got eye bones in here that we may utilize, so let's do that. Save this. When I ran through this before, I noticed that the skeleton looks like as though it was not built for the mesh, and that's why this bone here is a little strange. And this bone can't be used, and we're not going to try. But this is the neck and that's the head. This is a jawbone, and I'm not going to go digging for the jawbone, the second life jawbone, so we'll leave that unmapped for now. And this is the head bone, and what is this? That's the skull. We don't want to use that. Map these bones. Map these. I'm going to skip that one. This ought to be the chest. And spine, and then finally we have the pelvis. This one here we can absorb, so we'll just leave that unmapped for now. Well, this pelvis bone cannot be mapped to the pelvis, which is this. So we're going to map that pelvis bone to one of the extra spine bones. So we'll need to see the spine bones, show all bones. I'll find the pelvis bone. I'll move this out of the way. I'll find the pelvis bone, move that out of the way, and just underneath it is its child, spine 1. And that's a good place to start. It's logical. So I'll map that to this root bone. I'll finish up with the legs. I'll hide the rest. We can release these. I'll reset the bone view. Grab these legs. Actually, just grab everything up here. And I'm not going to map from toe, so I'll map from the hip, very top bone, which I guess is that. Map these. Oh, and I turned off release. Silly me. Let's just go do that again. There's as much else as there. I can just grab it all. So that's the hip, just before the spine. That's what we want. Make sure that moves the whole leg, because you'll notice that this does not. We'll skip that bone and map this one. Then we have 2 more. And the same on the other side. Okay, the avatar itself is done. We just have this one free floater here, and I will save my map again. What are we going to do about that free floater? Save it. Well, this one here, we're going to use a bone branch. We're going to use one bone in a bone branch that is directly connected to the spine in Second Life. And since we are, well, not spine, I'm sorry, the root, which is M pelvis, which we're not using in this set, and we're going to control that bone so that it never moves. I think we can do that simply by not moving it. We'll find out soon. If we have to add another bone to stabilize it, we can do that. But what we're going to do instead is use one of the other bones that are connected to or are a child branch of M pelvis, the root bone. And I will show that now. Show all bones. And a good one to use is the tail base. So I will map that to this one. And if we animate the tail base, it's not going to cause any backward animation. So the pelvis shouldn't move. It should just stay where it is. I think we'll be fine without doing anything with the pelvis. Let's go test our theory here. We're going to reset the stage. Actually, did I save it? I don't know if I saved it. I'll save the map now. But the map is embedded in the armature, so you can just save the blender scene. And it saves with it. Show the mesh. Now I'm gonna first retarget this, because I'm gonna have to convert this set to a converted character in order for Bento Buddy to remap the vertex weights to their anchor bones. Remember the bones that I skipped? Those bones will be analyzed and their weights will be deposited into their parent bones, which is the anchor. So let's get the animation first and see what it's going to look like. And glue, because I want absolute bone locations and rotations and action. And it's ready to export. So we'll do this, and I want 850, not the entire range. Nope, 850. See, I'm not going to move my mouse because we might get a pop-up window that will vanish on me. Nope, looks good. So 35 seconds, good. And the apparent data exported was not too large. Let's go check it out. Oh, very close, 248. And we get a maximum of 250. That's good. Alright. Now I want to convert this character along with that ball. I think character converter can do them both. And I want to make a copy so that I don't damage the original. I'm going to reset my stage first, though I worry that there's going to be some strangeness if I don't do that. Now select my mesh here. Actually, I need to select the armature. The armature will tell the converter where the mesh is. And I enable copy and convert, and both should be nope, because the ball is not a child of the armature. I'm just going to delete that and do it again. It's not converting the ball, it seems. So in fact that does not work, because the ball is not a child of the armature. Well, we're going to have to fix that. We can make a ball ourselves anyway. There are no vertex groups that are associated with the armature, and this is probably why. So we can do that right now. Armature. There it is. Now will it work? No, it does not work. Oopsie. That didn't work. I'm going to undo that. Now we'll go object, parent, keep transforms. Still did not work. And I know why. Because this... no, I don't. No. We'll have to make our own. I don't really understand what. There's two objects. There's a helper object down here that I would have to take some time to figure out how to get around that. And instead of doing that, I'm just going to make a ball. And the only reason we need a ball right now, the only purpose of the ball is to have an object. And we're just going to make this a skinned object to the bone. So no big deal. It's just going to get exported just like this. We know the bone name, so I make a vertex group with the bone name. Ball, bone, and I want all the vertices assigned to that. So assign, and I know that this bone has a constraint on it, but I don't think we need to worry about that right now. And we don't need to do anything funky with it. I do need an armature modifier on this though, and pick the armature. Now that should move with the bone if the bone moves, but the bone's not going to move. But it will in SL. So let's just go back and do our thing here. We selected the armature, copy, and we still get no. Why did we get nothing? Armature, convert, still got nothing. Child. Oops. Okay, now what? Where's the bone? Where's the ball, rather? Our icosphere is floating around in space somewhere. Now, because of these transforms. Alright. That's not cool. So, it's back. So what I can do is shift click this. I'm going to do an object transform, object parent, because then Blender will be able to do the inversion for me and keep the offset. So again, select the armature, convert, and now we get a ball. And we can just export this whole mess. And it's exported. I will delete the mess and go to Second Life. What a chore. Now remember, this representation is not always going to be accurate. It's not meant for our custom rigs. Let's see how we did. Grab the animation. There. I'll create an anchor object in world. Drop the baby object along with the ball. Parent it. Link. See what it looks like as an animesh. Okay. Animation and our script. And just click it. See what we get. It's looking okay. It does have some strange rotations, and the ball, I scaled it wrong. So the normals are flipped. I changed that. Let's go change. It actually looks kind of cool that way though. But let's just fix that just to be thorough. And if I can remember how to do this, we might be able to see the normals, which what happened here? Might be able to see. No, you know what? They are not. They are not flipped. Why is it doing that? They are not flipped. See, it should look like that. If you scale it too far, it inverts, and the normals are on the inside instead. You can see. Yeah. But so I don't know why it looks like yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because the scale is, in fact, reversed. And now the normals will probably be flipped. And we'll flip them back. Yes. So, Blender has a function for this. It's called recalculate outside. And that should fix it. And we'll just export. We'll just do this again. Export the whole thing by doing the conversion. These selected items will be exported. Save it. And when that's finished, we can just hit the delete key. And we've got our content back. Let's go back into Second Life and fix our product here. Edit, unlink, right. The animation is still good. We'll leave that. And I will shift click drag just so that I get a reset copy. The copy is the one that's left behind. So that looks better. Alright, that is the lesson.